All right, Linda, you are good to go.
Okay, thanks, Erin. Appreciate it. Hey, welcome everyone. Before I start the meeting, I would like to read a land acknowledgement. The Township of Woolwich is located on the lands of the Haldimand Treaty of 1784, within the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and the neutral people, including the Chinootan or Attawandaron. This land is part of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt. The dish represents the land that is to be shared peacefully, and the spoon represents the individuals living on and using the resources of the land in a spirit of mutual cooperation. Recently, many scholars, individuals, and Indigenous people have come to believe that the dish with one spoon concept can raise awareness regarding ecological and environmental sustainability. One of the core values of the concept is that those who use the land should not abuse the land. In other words, individuals and groups should only take what they need from the land so that there will be a healthy, long-term, sustainable environment. As a committee, we recognize and acknowledge the union of peace and the need for a healthy, sustainable environment. The Indigenous ancestral guardians of the land and its waterways, the enduring presence, knowledge, and philosophies of Indigenous peoples, and recognize their continuing contributions to shaping this area. Today, many Métis and Indigenous people continue to call this land home. May we together learn to care for and respect each other and act as the stewards of this land we inhabit together. Okay. So for the meeting today, I will remind the committee and the members of the public that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed to the Township's YouTube channel. Anyone who registered to participate in this meeting will be invited to speak in the order of the applications being heard, and we have one application today. I will now do a roll call of the committee and staff for the benefit of the public watching this meeting. When I call your name, please wave at the camera and say here or present. I, Linda Dixon, I am present and chairing this meeting. Committee members, Tim Cronin.
I'm here.
Chris Fletcher.
Present.
Jeremy Karn.
Present.
Sherwin Maloney.
Present.
Nancy Thompson.
Present.
And Erin Weitzel.
Present.
Okay. Thank you. I will now provide an explanation of the procedures for this meeting. Each application will be read by Erin, and she will ask each applicant to make a brief presentation not to exceed 5 minutes. The committee will be given an opportunity to question the applicant. Any other person who is registered with the recording secretary and is wishing to address an application either for or against will then be given the opportunity to speak. Please make sure you have turned on your microphone and video and identify yourself clearly for the recording secretary. After everyone has had an opportunity to speak, the committee will make a decision on the application. Once discussion on your application is complete, please mute your microphone and turn off the video. You're free to leave the meeting at this time or remain and listen to the balance of the applications, but there's only one today, so. Each application has a 20-day appeal period as required under the Planning Act. In accordance with Bill 23, appeals may only be submitted by the applicant, the municipality, certain public bodies, or specified persons as defined in the Planning Act, and the minister. The last day of appeal for applications being heard today is March 2nd, 2026. At this time, I will ask the committee members if anyone is declaring a conflict of pecuniary interest.
No.
Okay, not seeing any. And then I think, Erin, you would like to read the application description, please?
Yeah, it looks like we might have a member of the public in the waiting room, so I'm just going to let them in quick.
Thank you.
And just make sure that they are on. Hi, Barb. It's Erin from the township. Can you hear me okay? Not sure if she's there. Barb, if you can hear me, we're starting to present the application. So you'll be offered an opportunity to speak once they are done presenting if you wish. Otherwise, you can just remain on mute until that time. But yeah, I will read the application for tonight. So we have minor variance application 1-2026 for 100-110 6552 Ontario Inc. for the property at 1303 Maryhill Road. The zone and current use is commercial C2, commercial building with 2 dwelling units, 3 accessory sheds, and 3 accessory sheds. The applicant is proposing to develop the property with a new 2,232 square meter building proposed to contain 4 indoor tennis courts and is requesting approval to convert the required parking calculation for commercial recreation use from 1 space per 23 square meters gross floor area, which would be 97 parking spaces, to 4 parking spaces per court, with 4 courts equaling a total of 16 parking spaces. The existing commercial use, being a vacant tavern, is proposed to be converted to a use associated with the new tennis courts at a parking rate for a banquet facility, hall, or event center, which is 1 parking space per 20 square meters of gross floor area, thereby requiring 22 parking spaces. The 2 existing dwelling units will remain, which will require 3 parking spaces. The total parking required with the proposed minor variance would equal 41 parking spaces. The overall parking provided on site for the uses noted above is proposed to be a total of 42 spaces. It should be noted that the required loading space is provided on site. And on behalf of the applicant, we do have Brandon Flewelling here from GSP Group Inc., who can speak to the application. Brandon, if you'd like to take it away, the floor is yours.
Great. Thank you, Aaron. I think that was a great overview. So good evening, members of the committee. I'm also joined today by Colin Yoon, the applicant. So as Aaron described, the purpose of the application is it's really to look at an appropriate parking ratio for a tennis use facility on this property. Commercial recreation and the parking structure doesn't really anticipate something, maybe a facility like this. And we took our guidance through some other bylaws and how they calculate commercial parking needs, specifically for a tennis facility. Hamilton, Niagara, Milton were just a few that were studied in the parking justification report that was submitted in support of the application. And it's really looking at how many users could use the facility, and then putting, okay, so there's 4 courts, there's 4 users per court. Therefore, there's a maximum of 16 people using the court at a time, and it's that type of breakdown that's really been utilized to come up with the parking ratio, and then just a slight adjustment for a private club parking ratio as well. As Aaron identified, when using this calculation, the overall parking needs is 41 spaces, and the site plan itself will have 42 spaces on site. We did receive the comment, the staff report, and certainly we're in support of the staff report and the recommendations. But we did see the comments from a neighboring property owner as well about some concerns about, overflow parking and impacts on their property. While we certainly can't control what everyone does, Colin and the operators of the facility would certainly make sure that all members are aware of the on-site parking that's available, and make it clear to members that off-site parking or parking somewhere else is not appropriate when attending the facility. But again, based on the parking study that was provided, and just functionally thinking of the use of the space with the number of people that could be there at one time, we really don't anticipate any parking problems, that there's going to be more than sufficient parking available on the site. The application itself, or the site plan itself, is in for preliminary review with the township, and pending the outcome of this meeting, would then go through the final site plan approval process to nail down all the elements of the new building and the exact parking locations and those type of details. But they're all well established to make sure that we know 42 spaces can be provided on the site and suitably located. But that's just a bit of an update as to where the next steps would be should this variance be approved. I'll conclude there, but both myself and Colin are happy to answer any questions that the committee may have.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Flewelling. Committee members, do you have any questions of the applicant? Tim?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a question or comment, but I keep hearing the word tennis court, and I noticed in one of the comments, the studies, they suggested they're referring to a pickleball court. Is this going to tie it down to tennis, or should we somehow, is there another generic word that would include, or is pickleball not definitely not part of the plan. It's always going to just be tennis. For Brandon, if you
Yeah, I can speak to that question. So I think in terms of the study, the parking study, they analyzed both tennis and racquetball, pickleball, all the different types of racket sports, and they concluded that the parking would work for all different types of racket sports. But we went with tennis because the club will be mainly tennis first. If there is a demand from the community to allow pickleball and have pickleball at the club as well, we can work with the community and maybe include some pickleball days, and we can make sure that the parking won't be a problem for pickleball. So if there's a large demand for pickleball, because pickleball courts are a little bit smaller, we could maybe adjust, have some pickleball days, and then make sure that the parking will be sufficient for those pickleball days. So not have any uses at the club at that day and allow all 40 spaces for pickleball. So yeah, it'll be flexible. It'll be flexible with the community.
Okay,
Just
thank
my-
you, Colin. Yep, sure. Go ahead, Tim.
just my comment to go with that, because we're tying down in the recommendations here, keep tying down the word tennis court. Are we hanging this up that it can only be tennis? So I just wanted to know if we should be looking at, maybe that's more for Sherwin to consider, maybe we should use the name racquetball. I don't know what the correct terminology is to, that it doesn't preclude them from doing pickleball. So I just didn't want us to create a problem for the future.
Thanks, Tim. Sherwin?
I guess it will be up to the committee to change it to, instead of tennis facility, if you wanted to change it to racket facility. Um, I don't see any issue in that.
Thanks, Sherwin. Any other committee members have? Are you okay, Tim? Before
Yeah,
I could see your, yep, go ahead.
I'm okay. I'm more concerned about us setting someone up for, so I don't know, it's important. I don't even know if the racket is the right term, because that's another term that can get involved with many, but I think in the recommendations here, it says number of occupants per court not to exceed 4. So I think that would cover it if we went with racket. So that's only a suggestion for comments. I know it's in the question stage, not in the comment stage right now.
All right, thanks, Tim. Any other committee members have a question? Okay, not seeing any. Sherwin, did you have any further comments that you wanted to make at this time?
Through you, Madam Chair. Yes. I just wanted to add to what Brandon and Colin has presented. So I just wanted to add to that the location of the new commercial building is proposed to be constructed in an area on the property currently not used for parking. The number of existing parking is to remain and may increase. The proposed variance today, just to give you some context, is to permit a reduction in the commercial recreation parking rate, which is inflated to accommodate a broad range of commercial recreation uses. The applicant has demonstrated that specific commercial recreation uses being proposed will only require a maximum of parking of 16 spaces. The specific type of use is important. It and being proposed is tennis facility that has a facility with 4 courts, which is important, which will be used for tennis or pickleball, or as mentioned, or other racket sports, and can only accommodate up to 4 players per court. So that's very important. So therefore, the 16 parking spaces being proposed, is staff's opinion that it is appropriate for the specific commercial recreational use being proposed in this case. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sherwin. Just before we ask for the public, Colin or Brandon, did you have any further comments?
Thank you. I would just say we would be fine if we wanted to change the wording to racket sports facility or something of that nature, just to, I do understand, I sort of follow the line of thinking that if it's somebody in the future looking at it, if they were getting really specific, the intent obviously is that it's four courts, it's a racket sport, whether it's pickleball or tennis, but to maybe provide that flexibility, I appreciate that that comment from the committee. So that would be fine if the decision was changed accordingly.
Thanks, Brandon. Chris?
So just have one question now of the applicant and of Sherwin. So often with racket sports, you get turnover. So you could have up to 16 people in flux at turnover point in time, which is fine. And I think, there's enough parking there to accommodate, but I didn't know whether or not there was any thought about whether or not there would be summer camps for kids or anything else about dropping children off and maybe drop-off zones versus parking spot zones in order to pick up children, and whether that has any impact on the parking. So Sherwin and then the applicant maybe.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Sherwin, do you want to speak to that, please?
Yep, through you, Chair. In terms of drop-offs, the number of parking, and you mentioned also participants in flux. So the number of parking for the new recreational facility is 16 parking spaces. And the clubhouse or the club will have additional parking spaces to accommodate up to 16 awaiting players as well. So in terms of the number of parking for the specific type of use, there is the appropriate number of parking spaces to accommodate. And in terms of
I think what I'm kind of getting at is even with lessons, sometimes you might have more than four per court. And I don't want to hamstring them if they have a time frame in which they're conducting lessons, whether it's for kids or otherwise, that's now tying them to 4 per court.
Well, it is going to be based on the use and the number of participants and the number of players needed for each court. The maximum for each court is going to be 4. So in terms of
So
any,
that's what you're using to determine parking is the
the
4
parking
per
is the
4
yeah.
per court.
Yeah,
So I
it can't-
understand that. And so in a lesson situation, sometimes there might be more than 4 per court. That would be my only concern. And, I have no problem in tying it to 4 per court, but I think there's some maybe longer term ramifications that might happen depending upon if there's lessons offered at this facility.
And I
Paul?
think that, sorry, through your chair, I think that will come down to the management of the facility to schedule those times appropriately and to make sure that the scheduling of these facility can accommodate the number of people and parking.
Okay.
Paul, thanks.
Thank you.
Jeremy, I'll hold you there for 1 second. I'm just going to ask Colin or Brandon if they wanted to provide any further information specific to Member Fletcher's comments.
Colin, do you
Question.
want to speak to just sort of operationally how you see things
Sure.
working?
Yeah, for sure. So we were looking to have a little bit of summer camps or lessons for the community. Maybe sometime in the summer during work days, we could have summer camps going for the community. And in those times, we'll be able to book out the whole all four courts, and then we'll also have the commercial space available. So that'll be all 40 spaces available, and we'll make sure that the numbers will line up with whatever the township allows for parking. So whether that's 4 per court, then we'll make sure that our limits will be 4 per court, and then we also use the main commercial area inside the existing building as well. So if this is what the township needs for the parking justification, then the management's happy to accommodate, and we'll make sure that there won't be any overages on parking.
Thank you, Colin. Jeremy?
Thanks. Similar to Member Fletcher, I think my concern is more on the way that we've written the condition, because it doesn't. I don't actually really know how we even enforce or follow up on a condition like only 4 occupants can use a tennis court at a time. So I guess my question, and mostly to staff, is if our concern is that we want to limit the number of people that are in the building at a time, because that's ultimately what's driving the parking, is there a better way to write this condition that follows that? Because similar to Member Fletcher's, I was like, if you have a camp or a lessons, you might have 8 people on the court, but we don't care if there's still 12 people in the building. So does it make more sense to write this restriction as the number of occupants, or is there a way to do this that sort of actually more meets what we're trying to achieve here? And I guess that's to staff first, maybe.
Thank you, through you, Chair. It's so so we're talking about the parking rate here, and you know, if the number of parking is not appropriate, or if there's more occupants in the building, and they meet the number of parking, then they still are in line with the parking rate, right? We're not talking about the number of occupants in the building. We're strictly just talking about the parking rate and the number of parking that exists and can accommodate the use. You know, for instance, you know, there's 42 proposed parking spaces. You know, it could possibly have, you know, someone could possibly have like 4, you know, people in a vehicle. But, you know, like in terms of how many people can use the court, the parking, the 16 parking spots was based on the maximum number of players that can use a court. And was just that number of occupants was just used to determine the parking rate. So in terms of I guess I could, you know, give another example of a different type of use. You know, we have parking rates of residential single detached dwellings that only account for 1 space per dwelling, but you can have, you know, right? You can have, you know, you know, you can have 2 spaces, you can have 10 people within the dwelling, right? Like, but that is the parking rate for that specific type of use.
Jeremy?
Maybe as a follow-up question then to Sherwin, would you be okay with just removing that condition? Like, I guess my concern is, to use the housing analogy, we're kind of saying only 1 parking spot can be used per unit in the building, versus saying there must be 1 parking spot per unit, and then however it gets divided up is up to the actual occupants. So the capacity that we're looking at providing here is 4 per court. Do we actually care about saying each court can only have 4 people on it at a time? Because that seems like a very restrictive constraint that doesn't seem like it's going to add much to what we're doing here. And then if we were to remove that, is there one that you would want instead to still try to capture that we were doing this based off of 4 per tennis court?
Thanks,
Yeah.
Jeremy.
Yeah, through you, Chair. So the recommendation is not saying 4 From what I'm reading, it's not saying 4 people per court. I'm not restricting the number of um I'm restricting the number of parking, right? 4 parking per court. So
I
I
guess
mean,
I was looking at condition B, if that helps.
oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that needs to be parking.
Okay.
It-
So that should read parking. Yeah, I had the same question. Okay,
Yeah.
so that should read them. Yeah, okay, that helps. Thank you,
Yeah.
Sherwin.
Thank you.
Brandon, did you have any more
Mm.
comments?
No, just to flag that the actual parking rate is still specified in a space per square meters basis at the start of that condition. So we use the 4 per for court just to sort of wrap our heads around, okay, what does that really look like? But it's the 1 space per 139 square meters of gross floor area that's really the measurable metric of it.
Very good, thank you. Okay, any other further questions or comments from the committee? Tim? You're muted, Tim, sorry.
Thank you, Linda. Sorry about that. So with to come down to these number of spaces that we're allowing, does that fully utilize the land area there? So there's no additional land available if you want to increase parking spaces. This fully utilizes up the whole property, that there's no additional space to add more. Is that what I'm understanding?
Seeing Colin shake his head,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, so we've put the 40 spaces in there, and then with the building and the current existing clubhouse, that'll be most of the property. Yeah, there's no more space.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So Aaron, we have someone from the public. I believe it's Barb. Barb,
Yes.
did you want to speak for or against the application? Not sure if you're muted, Barb, if you're wanting to speak.
Or it also might be Mike there. I don't know. It was Barb and Mike.
Barb and Mike.
Yeah, who are registered.
Oh, I think I
there
got it now.
Very good, thank
It
you.
wasn't letting the button work. I got her
There
figured
you
out.
go.
Okay, this is just strictly about the parking, nothing else.
Linda, you're muted.
Okay,
There you go.
there we go. Move it away from there. Yes, the application is with respect to looking at the number of parking spaces for this particular use.
Okay, it's just, it has nothing to do with the actual use though of the
No.
building or anything to do with that. Okay, no, we're good.
No.
Parking
Okay.
spaces is a concern.
Okay, all right,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Okay, with that, committee, have you, what you would like to, a motion to, with respect to the application? Jeremy?
I move that minor variance application A01 2026 concerning the subject property described as Plan 596 Lot G Part Lot E, F, H, and Q, municipally addressed as 1303 Maryhill Road, be approved, which is relief from Section 5.2E of the zoning bylaw to reduce the number of required parking from 123 spaces to 40 spaces based on the parking rates mentioned there. Be approved subject to conditions A and C, but not B in the staff report.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? Chris? Okay, any further discussion on the motion before I call the question? Tim?
Just so I understood, Jamie, what on the conditions, how did you list those conditions? A, B, and C?
So-
I sort of missed that comment.
listing, including A and C, but not including B, based on the parking rates already sort of baked in there, I think, in the square meter calculation.
And one other, would you be opposed to a friendly amendment to change tennis court use to racket sport, racket court, or racket sport, whatever the proper terminology is?
Yeah, we can call it racket sports. We can call it all racket sports.
It-
Yes, that
Racket
works for me.
sports facility.
Yep.
Okay.
As long as the mover and seconder approve the friendly amendment, you don't have to do an amended motion.
Jer-
I'm in agreement if
I'm in
Jeremy's in
agreement,
agreement.
yes.
Jeremy's
so-
shaking his head. He's in agreement. So we're good
Yes.
there. So we can move forward with that minor amendment, friendly amendment on that motion. Okay. Do we need to read it again, Aaron, or are you good?
I am good. I've got that all down.
Oh, phew.
Okay. All right. All in favor of the motion as with the friendly amendment? That's carried. Okay. So just a reminder, that the appeal period expires, because I always forget this part, the appeal period expires on March 2nd, 2026. And thank you for your attendance today.
Great. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, committee.
All right, so that's it for the application. So I guess we have the approval of the minutes. I presume the committee's had a chance to review the minutes. Do I have a motion with respect to the minutes from the December 8th, 2025 committee meeting? Tim, you move it?
I would
As
move we accept the minutes as
As-
presented.
Okay, seconder? Jeremy? Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried as well. Okay. Is there anything further, Nancy or Aaron or Sherwin?
No, nothing really. There's 4 applications for the March meeting, and I will probably get those out to you by the end of this week.
Okay. I just have one comment. And I know it's still kind of in limbo, but Sherwin, at some point, I'm just thinking that it might be good to have a small presentation or some comments with respect to the proposed changes to the Planning Act to talk about the 10% for minor variances, particularly dealing with urban areas. So I'm not sure. That's still not finalized yet, though, correct?
I believe that went to Royal Assent.
Oh, it did? Okay.
To with Bill 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe at some point, if, just
Mhm.
give future meeting to just give us a heads up on what that might mean. I have some ideas, but. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Is there anything further from the committee? Okay, thank you, everyone.
All good.
Very good.
Thanks.
Thank you.